they're dealing with an equal in the
Yeah,
EU, and
right.
that's one of the reasons that Trump doesn't like the EU because it's they can he prefers to deal with countries that are weaker than him.
The reignition of trade tensions between the US and the EU. Donald Trump has threatened to put a 50% tariff on all goods sent to America from the bloc, from the European Union. In a post on his Truth Social platform, the US president said discussions with Brussels were going nowhere. And those comments came just hours before Brussels and Washington were due to have talks to negotiate on tariffs already in place. So could this have a knock-on effect here in the UK? Let's speak to Aslak Berg, a research fellow at the Centre for European Reform. Aslak, welcome back to the programme.
Uh, Thank you, and good evening, Henry.
Good evening to you. How seriously do you think European leaders will take this latest attack from Donald Trump? He sounds very serious, but what do you think they will read into it?
They will have to take it seriously. There's no, we've seen in the past how he imposed tariffs on China, how he imposed tariffs on other countries. So they take it seriously, but I don't think it will make them budge because they've also seen that he walked back tariffs on China a little. There is domestic pressures in the U.S. The U.S. corporate sector they do not like these tariffs at all. The estimate is that these tariffs would cost the EU a 0.5% of GDP, but for the US it would be closer to 1.5. So the US would actually be hurt more.
So
So
the US
they
is in a weaker position, Aslak.
they're not
Where
in
do
a
you... go on.
yeah, they're not in a weaker position, but they're dealing with an equal in the
Yeah,
EU, and
right.
that's one of the reasons that Trump doesn't like the EU because it's they can he prefers to deal with countries that are weaker than him.
Yeah. Well, like us, like the UK, we've had our sort of a trade deal. And when you consider that the sticking points in a full trade deal might be the legendary chlorine washed chicken and the hormone treated beef. But what are the red lines in a possible trade relationship between the US and the EU? What are the sticking points?
The sticking point is that the EU does not want to do what the UK did. What the UK did was to essentially acquiesce. They agreed to these new tariffs that the US has, 10%, and then 25% on all those beyond a certain quota.
Yeah.
That is not acceptable to the EU, and that makes it much harder. Um, for the EU, this is about the protecting the legal order, the sort of stability that the global economy needs. If you're going to make investment decisions, you need to have some kind of predictability. You need to know what kind of condition you'll face, not just this month, but also 1, 2, 5, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And that is why these tariffs are so detrimental.
Yeah. And not so long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, Trump claimed he had 200 trade deals lined up, ready to go. But in
Yeah.
the interim, only one has been signed, and that's with us, with the UK. So where do you see this going, and what might the impact be on potential US negotiations with the likes of China, Japan, India, et al.?
Well, it does not bode well for China or for India or Japan or any of these countries that are not willing to accept the terms that the UK did. The UK accepted those terms in part because I think the government wanted a victory, and also because the UK is just more reliant on services than manufacturing. And if you're reliant on manufacturing, you, that makes it much harder to accept tariffs on goods. Services obviously don't face tariffs. I think the problem now is already had a year of uncertainty. It started even during the elections. And then you have the election, you have Trump coming in. He promised 10, 20% tariffs. So you have a couple of months where people wondering, will he, won't he? And then he has this announcement. In April, we're going to do this reciprocal tariffs. And so people do these calculations. What might that be? What might that look like? Then April comes around and he announces we're going to do these tariffs that we basically calculated on a napkin
Yeah.
and that no one predicted. And then a month later, he walks it back. And now we're actually a situation where the EU will face not 10 or 20, but 50%. So if you're an exporter, that's a nightmare. It makes it impossible to make any investment decisions at all.
And the question is, briefly, that's like, what happens between now and the 1st of June? That's not long ago. It's not long away, is it?
Yeah, I mean, they will try to make a deal. The EU will make a concerted offers, but they will try to make a deal without conceding on principle. And I
Yeah.
think that will be very, very difficult. So I think I think it's very plausible that these tariffs will come into place, at least for a short time.
Yeah.
And that the EU, if that happens, the EU will also respond very quickly.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you very
So,
much to you, Aslak. We're going to have to
no
finish there,
problem.
but thank you very much. Really good to get the benefit of your expertise, Aslak Berg, who is a research fellow at the Centre for European Reform.
We have a very big announcement today. It has to do with nuclear energy and other things.
And what about the European Union? You said that negotiations are going nowhere. Where are the kind
They're
of points
just
where
very
they're
slow moving. I've been saying to everybody, they've treated us very badly over the years. It was formed in order to hurt the United States, in order to take advantage of the United States, and they've done that. We have a big deficit with them. They sell millions and millions of cars, as you know, Mercedes and BMW and Volkswagen and many others, and we were restricted from, essentially restricted from selling cars into the European Union, which is not nice. And I just said it's time that we play the game the way I know how to play the game. You know, they've taken advantage of other people representing this country, and they're not going to do that any longer. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Secretary. Sure, I'll just add to that before going to Will. Energy security is national security.
I'm not looking for a deal. I mean, we've set the deal. It's at 50%. But again, there is no tariff if they build their plant here. Now, if somebody comes in and wants to build a plant here, I can talk to them about a little bit of a delay. But, you know, while they're building their plant, which is something I think that would be appropriate, maybe, we'll determine that.
Is there anything they can do, sir?
Do you have any questions for these?
On Apple, you said this morning that if they don't make their iPhones in the U.S., you're going to hit them with a 25% tariff.
Right.
Do you have the power to tariff one single company? And why would you
No,
want to
it'll
hurt
be
an
more.
American company in that way?
It would be more. It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product. Otherwise, it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start on, I guess, the end of June. It'll come out. I think we have that appropriately done by the end of June. So if they make that product. Now, again, when they build their plant here, there's no tariff.
Are you looking for a deal in 9 days? Will you be able to do that, sir?
I'm not looking for a deal. I mean, we've set the deal. It's at 50%. We have some really amazing deals, but the European Union, I mean, the sole purpose was really not to hurt us, but to take advantage of us. And we're not going to be taking
Mr.
advantage.
President,
has had the effect of throttling development of new, highly modernized nuclear reactors that could really revolutionize the field of nuclear power generation. So this executive order, it orders a revised regulatory process to speed this